Welcome to the Value of Recruitment podcast with me, John Brooks. Sponsored by Atlas, the recruitment platform helping you become an AI-powered recruiter. Today, I'm joined by Samuli Salonen, co-founder of TalentBee, a recruitment employer branding agency supporting software-as-a-service technology companies. Before founding TalentBee, Samuli worked in tech marketing agencies, and it's fascinating to see the way he's applied his marketing experience in order to build his recruitment services. During our conversation, Samuli talks about the importance of focusing on the commercial big picture when talking to clients about their business, rather than rushing straight in asking about recruitment challenge. He shares how he used approaches common in the tech industry like a minimum viable product and testing hypotheses to build his processes and improve on the traditional way of delivering recruitment services. We also talk about his subscription pricing model and the pressure to deliver ongoing value for clients who are paying him every month. It was great to see how applying concepts from other industries can help us innovate and deliver more value. Enjoy the show. I hope you find it valuable. Samuli, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Likewise, great to have you here. Now, super excited to dive into your views on recruitment today. You've got a really strong marketing background, which you can see in the bold branding of TalentBee. So I love the way you look and the way you come across. But I'm also interested that you take some of the techniques that your market, the tech market, uses, and you've used them to build your business, build your recruitment business, understand the value you create for clients and where you can offer the most value. So really excited to dive into that. But let's kick off with the big question. In your eyes, how valuable is recruitment?
I would say it's very valuable. If I think about our journey or other entrepreneurs that I know, I think it's all about the team that you are able to build. Are you able to hire the right people? And are those people performing? Are they staying within your company? And that's kind of the make it or break it point of your business. So if you succeed in recruitment, most likely you will succeed as a company. If you fail with recruitment, most likely you will fail as a company. So I would say it's very, very valuable.
Yeah, and you work in the SaaS market, growing tech companies. The failure and the success are very obvious. It's pretty quick. You either fail fast or you succeed, and ideally you're big. You become a unicorn or whatever. So I guess it's easy to measure or at least see the impact that those people can make.
Yeah, you can see it very, very quickly. Of course, I think there is a challenge with that one. You might be, let's say, early stage startup and you just hired your first salesperson, and it's a person that has performed whole their life working with other companies, and then they join your company, and then for some reason they're not performing. And it doesn't automatically mean that you hired the wrong person or that person isn't performing. It might be that your onboarding sucks. It might be that you're not good at sales leadership, or it might be that you just haven't found a product market fit for your product, and there is a need for the thing that you are selling. And I think even though you would be very good in sales, if you're selling something that people don't need, people are not willing to pay, then that person just won't succeed. So I think it's important to also understand that it's not always a recruitment problem if people are not performing. It might be a problem with a lot of other stuff as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. And sometimes the recruitment agency in that situation, gets blamed for that. It's like, oh, why didn't you find us someone better? But actually, as you say, it might be the onboarding, it might be the product even. How much do you think the recruitment agency has a responsibility to understand that the onboarding sucks, for example, and tell the client that?
Yeah, I think we do have a lot of responsibility on that one. But then, as you mentioned, I actually hear a lot of stories about companies complaining about recruitment agencies and them not succeeding. I just talked with one SaaS company a few few weeks back, and their head of sales was, sharing that, hey, they work with so many agencies and none of the agencies had succeeded. And then I was like asking questions like, hey, how many agencies did you work with? And then they were like, hey, 6 different agencies, and hired 8 people, and none of those 8 people performed. Like the agencies couldn't just find right people. And but then I was like, can you share me a bit like how do you onboard those people? And then they were like, yeah, we have this one day, and then off you go. And I'm like, okay, that might be the reason why people are not performing that well. So I do see it's like important to kind of identify where the problem is, and I try to do it with our customers a lot as well, really to figure out where the problem is, and most of the time it's actually somewhere else.
Yeah, and actually, I can't think of anyone particularly better positioned than a recruitment agency to have that conversation. We see lots of different onboarding. We see all our clients and how they approach things. We have the opportunity to have that conversation. Tell us about the onboarding. Tell us about the product and how they'll be selling it. And we can compare that with so many other experiences. And then we can mirror the market back to that client and say, look, your onboarding is not at the same level as most in the market. You're going to have problems here, which again is high value consultative, because they get the wrong salespeople. As you said earlier, it might be make or break for that company. Now, your background, you didn't start in recruitment. So you've had a sales and marketing background. So I'm interested, why did you choose to go into recruitment?
Yeah, I must say that 3 years ago, if someone would have asked me like where do I end up, like recruitment would not have been the been the choice. But basically, how I ended up in recruitment, there was actually a lot of ways on getting there. One being my co-founder. And, she was working as a talent acquisition lead in a fast growing SaaS company. And she was, talking with me about the struggles that she had over there and not finding an agency that really understands SaaS business and, can help both with go to market and tech roles and with employer branding. So that is kind of where I got the, idea around recruitment. But then, the SaaS focus has been there for a long time because, previously I worked as a head of sales in a marketing agency with focus on helping SaaS companies. And over there, I really realized the value of having super clear focus on, who you are serving, who are you selling to, because it's so much easier, first of all, do your sales and marketing when you're only going after one target group. You speak the same language, you really understand their problems. And same goes when you are serving them. Like our team understands what's going on in a SaaS company when they enter a new market or when they raise an A round of funding, what kind of CFO they need, or how they should structure their sales team and stuff like that. So you can really kind of add more value to there. So those were the 2 things that pushed me towards this. And then just doing a lot of customer research, talking with a lot of SaaS founders, figuring out if there really is a problem big enough to be solved. There was, everyone told that, oh, hiring is so hard, finding the right people is so hard, especially when you go international, it's getting harder and harder. And then, when looking at the competitors, there were a lot of agencies, but, most agencies are very generic, in my opinion, quite boring. And that is, also the main reason why we decided to go, brand first, really build in public, really kind of try to make ourselves different from the market and not just be like all the other agencies.
Yeah. And I love that idea of how can we differentiate ourselves. It's not easy, but it is a marketing play in some respects. So tell us more about that. Dive into how do you make TalentBee stand out from other agencies?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And, I believe that in the big picture, we are very similar to other agencies. There are some differences, but in the big picture, it's quite similar. But I think, there are a few things that we try to do, and there's a kind of two kind of things. There's, regarding the positioning and then maybe the ways of working. And, from positioning perspectives, it's really about, SaaS companies, Nordic markets, go-to-market and tech roles, and recruitment and employee branding. Those are kind of the, hard things that are, quite easy to tell on your sales deck or your website or social media. But then I think the other part is maybe a bit more, the soft stuff in a way. We, try to make sure that it's super fun to work with us. We try to make sure that we are super fast on everything we do. We try to challenge customers as much as possible. And we try not to be an outside agency, but really, part of the customer's team. And I think, that already starts during the sales process. We have a very good win rate against our competitors. Once we get to talk with our customers on the sales process, our experts are joining, just providing a lot of value and kind of making sure it's fun as well. Like, it's not a boring buying process. It's a fun buying process from us. So I think, those two areas, hard stuff, soft stuff, those are the things that we kind of try to be different.
Nice. I like that distinction. The hard stuff, clearly if you picked up a role for an FMCG company, and it was a procurement role, that would confuse the market, that would confuse your positioning. So that's kind of easy to understand on the hard level. The soft stuff is that is what's experienced by clients. What's really important from a kind of, in terms of winning business and winning business at the right price, in my opinion, is making sure that your client experiences what it's like to work with you, that soft stuff, before you negotiate. Because if they just see you as, big picture, you're a recruitment agency, they'll put you in a standard recruitment agency bucket. Whereas if they've experienced that soft stuff and they go, wow, TalentBee really is different. They are more fun, they are faster, they are more part of the team. If you've managed to help them experience that before you talk about price, they say, yeah, I understand why I would pay more because I've experienced this. You mentioned fun a couple of times. Now, lots of agencies I talk to say, oh, we try and be faster. That's great. Fun doesn't come up very much. So expand on that. How do you show your clients that you're more fun to work with? What does that feel like from a client perspective?
I think it's actually different for different customers as well. As people, we tend to see different things as fun. And, when I talk about fun, it's not about, comedy or stuff like that. But, if you ever experience, that you have had some service providers working with you, whether it's, bookkeeping, sales, marketing, recruitment agency, whatsoever, there's typically, always the kind of boring stuff going on. Processes are moving forward, things are moving forward. And that's, of course, very important that our customers are getting the value that they are paying for. But then, kind of how that one is delivered. For example, when you go for a weekly meeting with our team, like after that one, do you feel like, oh, I just wasted 15 minutes and that was super boring? Or do you feel, super excited, super energetic after that one? I think it's, a lot about that stuff. Then I think what we try to do a bit as well is regarding, for example, messages with customers. So, we have a Slack channel with all of our customers. And for example, one thing that we have done every now and then is, send some memes on the customer channel if it's kind of is related to the stuff that we are working for. Then, we, for example, have our company birthday party every year where we, invite both, potential customers, but current customers as well. There's always, table for current customers, some drinks over there, good networking, party games, a lot of that kind of stuff. And then I think there is this aspect of doing things that will create a kind of wow effect. And that might be kind of considered as fun. Let's take an example. When we go have a customer kickoff live on site, We bring in either, our own honey, or we go and pick up some smoothies from the store for everyone participating, and kind of creating that good effect from there. So it's just free, I think, fun, and then, friendly is a word that we use quite much. That it's, you kind of feel that you are working with a friend. It's, fun to work with us. But those are, some examples on that.
Yeah. Love that. And that's super helpful. And I think people can learn from that. I think that wow factor is really important. Sometimes, when I'm building services with a recruitment agency, we go through kind of step by step. Here are all the features that we're creating. But as humans, it really helps to have something that stands out. And almost the serious, important stuff sometimes isn't that. So TalentBee, obviously you take the honey in, you're memorable. So the client goes home at the end of the day, and their partner or flatmate or whatever says, "Oh, how was your day?" And they say, "Oh, it's someone brought some honey into a meeting." It's almost the definition for me of remarkable. So remarkable means outstanding, interesting, almost fun. But to break down that word, it's something that's worth remarking on. You don't go home and say, "Oh, someone had a really good process." Whereas you say, "Oh, wow, no, it was such high energy." Compared to, I had a meeting with our marketing team, I had a meeting with the finance team, I had to do a bit of work, and then I just had this super high energy meeting, and they bought some honey. So I love that. It's a really smart way of standing out. But as you say, you're still focused on the quality as well. One of the things I referred to earlier is how you built up your company and your services. So I believe you used kind of the MVP model, minimum viable product, which is very common in the tech world, when you started off. So you didn't just go in and say, "Great, we need to get a client as quickly as possible and we'll do full recruitment." So talk us through that and why you did that.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because I work with a lot of tech companies in the past, and I've seen the way that they work. First talk with customers, really understand what is the problem, then create a hypothesis on, hey, this could solve that problem, then build it fast and collect feedback from the customers. And I think that is very normal in the tech industry, but for a lot of other companies it's maybe the opposite a bit. You love your idea, you love your product, and then you really build that one, you really build up, and then you go to customers, and then customers give you like, "Hey, we don't need this." So we really want to turn that one around. And if I think about how we started TalentBee, basically was like during the spring before launching, we talked with I think 50 SaaS founders around what are the challenges that they are having, and then we try to come up with different ways on solving those problems. And some of the services that we came up were bigger ones and more traditional ones, and then there were also like some smaller pieces, like, "Hey, could this work? I wonder why no one hasn't tried that one." And then you're like, "Okay, let's try." Some work, some fail, and they are like, "Okay, maybe not this, maybe the other other way is the right way to go." And that's I think in the beginning it's easy. As we continue to grow and as we continue to have more and more customers that are already buying certain services, I think it's important to keep that innovation up, make sure that our whole team is really understanding that, hey, we want to innovate, we want to try new things, so then we can try those things out with our current customers as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of recruitment agencies start because someone has a background in recruitment. They have a passion for doing it better, so they set up their own agency, but they repeat so much of what they were doing at their previous agency. So yeah, I really like that kind of innovation mindset of like, let's break things down. Let's create hypotheses and say, hey, let's try this. And as you say, talk to your clients and break down their problems and start testing solutions. A lot of people say, oh, the recruitment process is the same for everyone. Well, one way of changing it is by testing it, iterating it, innovating it. Another thing you do, I think, differently from a lot of recruitment agencies is you have a subscription model. So I know a good number of your clients, in effect, subscribe to your services, so pay monthly. So explain how that came about, and again, I guess the value to clients, because it's pretty obvious what the value is to you as an agency. But how do you talk to your clients about that? How do you say, oh, here's a way of working that is valuable for you?
Yeah, I think what we noticed when coming to the market and talking with customers was that there was mainly two ways of buying recruitment services. One, as a project. So hey, now I need a head of sales, or now I need a developer or engineer or whatsoever. And we still do those projects. Around 40% of our revenue comes from that. Traditional kind of headhunting, searches, success fee kind of work. But then the second thing we noticed was that every now and then companies have a kind of ongoing need. But how most agencies kind of sold to that ongoing need was still projects, but let's say you buy a recruiter for 6 months or 12 months. That was something that customers were buying. But we didn't come across companies that were hiring or kind of buying ongoing talent acquisition as a service. So we thought about that one, first of all, of course, from our own perspective that, hey, recurring revenue makes sense. It's, quite good to have a business with recurring revenue. It's easy when you know what's happening the next month and you kind of don't need to start from zero. But then basically regarding customers, the value proposition is actually quite clear, compared to those who are offering, 12 months contract. I always say that, hey, we recommend our ongoing model, talent acquisition as a service, where it includes both the recruitment and employee branding. And what we do differently, compared to our competitors, they typically make you sign a 6 months or 12 months contract, but our contracts are actually always ongoing. So if you have the need, you can keep it up. If you need more, you can buy more. If at some point you don't need us anymore, you get rid of us. And then I always say that our customers are working with us, long term, more than a year. But the reason why they are staying is not because contract says so, but because they are getting value every month. And that's kind of the value proposition for customers in the end.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a powerful reason to do subscriptions if it works for you. You almost, the pressure is on you as a supplier. Keep adding value.
Yeah.
It's the perfect measure. You are measured against whether you've added value in the last month. And if you haven't, the client will say, yeah, I don't think we need you anymore. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
But if the client sticks with you and says, yeah, happy to pay you for another month, then clearly you're adding value there.
Yeah. And of course, like there's, one kind of downside from business perspective. Every now and then, for example, this spring, we've seen few situations where, in January, for example, we started with a new customer that, was hiring a lot. And then, suddenly they are not hiring. So they need to basically let us go. And, if we would have been in the, let's say, year-long contract, then we still kind of would have that revenue coming. But I think over there, like, that would be quite selfish for, our own revenue. But now with our model, customer can kind of get rid of us for now when they don't need help. But then at the same time, I know that they are coming back if at some point they need hiring. So I'm not a fan of, tying up customers with long contracts. It's, something we are testing every now and then, like, hey, which is more appealing to customers. So, for example, just today, I messaged one of our employee branding customers, and we were figuring out how to kind of continue after the summer, and they still want to continue. And I kind of gave them two options. So, option number one, hey, let's continue with the current employer branding as service model, ongoing model, 2 months notice period. Or if you want, we can do 6 months fixed contract, and then after that one, it continues as an ongoing contract. And if you choose that one, I can give a small discount for you. Because of course, for us, if customer is willing to sign for a longer time, it's way less risk-free for us. And, I do understand why other agencies are doing that one. So I think it's around, finding balance between both of those and understanding customer situation and, what is more important for customers. Is it the flexibility? Is it the pricing? Is it something else?
Yeah. And you see that on typical SaaS products that you or I might buy. Do you want to pay on a monthly basis, or it's often 10%, 20% off, 2 months free if you pay on an annual basis. And I mean, I'm so in favor of giving clients choice so they can choose, they can think about what's best for them and then choose the right approach for them. In my experience, I always spend a few minutes thinking, well, hang on, what do I do with it? Yeah, there's a new piece of software. How much do I trust it? Do I want to pay for 12 months and pay a little bit less? Or actually, do I want the flexibility and the lower risk at a higher price to say, well, let me test it out. So using it's good psychology, using that with your clients to say, look, what's right for you right now? I think probably some business owners listening to this will say, yeah, I've absolutely been tied into, I guess, old school tech contracts where it's, a 3-year deal for some software. But the opposite of that is, for example, I use Google Drive, Google Workspace. I'm pretty sure that's an ongoing rolling contract, and they just back themselves to say, look, we are going to be so valuable to you that you will never need to leave. And it sounds like you've taken that kind of ongoing value approach.
Yeah, and it's good, I think, for our experts as well.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that it's, I think, good for our experts as well, kind of creating a good kind of pressure for them to make sure that, they are providing value every month.
Yeah, there's a risk that you, at a worse situation, you could kind of coast. You win a client for 12 months or 36 months and say, great, they're on. I don't need to worry about keeping them super happy until 11 months or 33 months down the line. Whereas you're always on the hook to say, like, are we doing valuable things for those clients? You're new to recruitment, so when you started learning about how recruiters do things, what surprised you most about the way recruiters present their services and their fees?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of stuff. So, for me, I think having background from sales and marketing, I think about recruitment as sales and employer branding as marketing, basically. And that's kind of, my way of understanding what is going on. And I think, the biggest thing that I saw was kind of lack of business understanding with, most recruitment agencies. So they are very about, their services, like, hey, we do recruitment, we help you to find the right people, we, build your employer branding. But then I felt like most people didn't talk business. So that's been maybe the way that we've also approached that one. So, if I start a sales call with a customer, it doesn't start like, hey, can you tell me about your recruitment plans for this year, or like what kind of people you are recruiting? It always starts from the business. Like, hey, can you share me what's going on in the business? What kind of growth goals do you have? Okay, cool. You want to grow your monthly recurring revenue by 30%. Like, hey, okay, where is that one coming? And, where the biggest bottlenecks are? Is it more about, selling to new customers, or do you have some problems with customer churn or add-on sales? Okay, yeah, we have some churn problems and we are not able to upsell. Okay, cool. Hey, can you tell me a bit more about your, customer success team, how that one is structured and how those people are measured? And okay, hey, it sounds to me that compared to a lot of other SaaS companies, you have quite a small customer success team. And, in average, in other SaaS companies that we work with, one customer success manager is responsible for 15 customers, and your customer success manager are responsible for, 35 customers. So it sounds to me that, the problem might be there. Like, have you thought about hiring some people to your customer success team? So it kind of start from there, from business down, and, other people just go directly like, hey, who are you hiring this year? So I think that's the biggest difference I see.
I think that's a great insight. One thing I say about discounting, recruiters are overly generous in discounting or move too quickly to discounting. But you can't, a discount on your fee will never persuade a client to hire. Yeah, the fee is a fraction of the cost of hiring someone. So you're not going to say, oh, if I made my fee a little bit less expensive, would you consider hiring someone? No way. But having that high level business conversation, consulting with them, hey, you're missing someone here. You've got a smaller team than other people in the market. That's a really smart way. I think as well, you'll also presumably find that clients probably know they need to hire, but it's just not top of their agenda, or they're worried about it, or they think it's going to be difficult. So they say, yeah, definitely. We've been thinking about hiring for a long time. We just haven't got round to it. So I think we can be confident as recruiters, hiring is often the answer to the business problem, but we need to go in and talk about the business problem first, rather than say, what's your hiring problem?
Exactly. And, what comes to the pricing part, I think what is quite interesting over there is I feel like most recruitment agencies, and I think actually most salespeople, no matter what the industry, is like people are focusing on pricing only. I'm not focused on pricing only. I'm focusing on commercial terms. And that kind of changes the field completely. So it's actually not about price. It's actually a lot about payment terms, what we can invoice upfront, what we invoice as success fee. Is there some kind of guarantees and all kind of that stuff? And I always say to customers, like, if they want a discount, yeah, there's possibility for a discount, but then some other things might change. Like I always say, like, you need €1,000 discount. Okay, cool. What needs to happen is, we invoice a bit more upfront, and then you do an introduction to 3 other SaaS founders that you know. Oh, yeah, we have €1,000 discount. So everything is negotiable, and I do that one actually quite often. If customer is pushing down on price, and they might have a reason for that. It might be that they have budgeted only €10,000 for this, and our price is like 11,000, and they have other offers on the table for, let's say, 8,000, 9,000, and then they have budget from someone else from the company. Let's say they are head of people and they need to get a budget approval from the founder, and then they are like, hey, I really want to do with you, but I can only do 10,000. Can you do it? I'm always like, yeah, we can, but hey, you need to do something in exchange for me. And typically people are willing to do those things. Then you just need to figure out what is valuable enough for you as a company to give that small discount.
Yeah, absolutely. And it justifies why you change your price. If you just drop your price for no reason, then the client rightly thinks, well, hang on, why was the price in the first place? Whereas if you justify it and say, okay, well, if we change some of the other commercial terms, the price is a part of that big picture. They say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I've committed more, or as we talked about earlier, I've committed for longer, or I'm paying earlier, or whatever. I think it's really important for recruiters, especially recruitment owners, to think, right, for our agency, what are things that we value, and how likely are our clients to give us those things? And then formalize them. If you've got a big team, make sure everyone knows so that your whole market is getting a consistent negotiation. Because again, it can get messy if one person's going off and offering a big discount for just a small exchange and others are pushing much harder on exchange. No, that I really like that. Just going big picture, recruitment as an industry, as a really important service that we provide for our clients. How can we make recruitment more valued in the eyes of our clients?
I think it kind of goes back to the topic that we talked earlier regarding, combining it with business. And I think this goes both for recruitment agency as well for internal recruiters within organizations. And I hear this a lot. People asking why my work isn't valued, and I think complaining about that one won't fix it. What will fix it is that you start to speak business and you start to show like what is the impact of your work to the business, and that's what C-level people basically care about, how this is affecting our business. And I think there is a lot of kind of clear things on how you can take your work to that level. So if we take some easy examples first, let's say salespeople, like, okay, hey, our monthly recurring revenue goal for this year is to grow that one for 40%, and from that 40%, 30% comes from the new customer acquisition, and our current team can handle 15% of that one. So for the 15%, we need 5 new people to do that one. And then as a recruiter, you help to find those people who can hit those targets. And then you kind of don't stop your work for the moment that those people are found and hired to your organization, but then you kind of follow up on how their onboarding is going, how they are performing, and then let's say 6 months, 12 months from now, you kind of report back like, hey, we hired these people 12 months ago, this is how much revenue they have brought in, this is how much their salary cost has been, and this is like the return on investment on hiring those people. So that's, I think, a good example, for example, for sales roles. And then it might be, let's take another business problem that, hey, we have a churn problem with customers, but this time it's not about customer success, but it's about customers complaining that, hey, we don't have certain features on the product. And then your current product team cannot, push those features out. And then you notice like, hey, we have a problem in our product team. We need new developers, engineers, and, product manager on the tech team. And then, as a recruiter, you figure out what kind of people we need, you hire those people, and then, once again, you follow up. You don't stop where you hire them, but you follow up in 12 months. And you are like, hey, in 12 months, we were able to, build up this, and this feature. And based on that one, our churn went down from 6% to 4%. And in recurring revenue, it means X euros. This is how much it costs to hire these people. This is the return on investment. So you really need to, go there. Don't expect people to value you. Show the value, I would say.
Yeah, that's super powerful. And I think when you've done that a few times, you then look at your fees compared to the difference you've made on that recurring revenue, or the valuation, or whatever the client is measuring as their measure of success. And they say, look, we're aiming for another 5 million euros a year. And we say, okay, well, our fees on that were 100,000 euros. We can be confident we're adding an incredible amount of value to deliver their business goal. So in my mind, a client then says, oh, you're a bit expensive. We can say, no, we're really not. We absolutely understand the value we create for people. If anything, our fees should maybe be a little bit higher, but they are what they are because these are the outcomes we create. I love that. Thank you so much, Samuli, for joining us today. It's been a real blend of, you've talked about commercial things a lot, but also the fun and the energy. So I think that blend really does create a great recruitment experience for clients. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. So many great insights from that conversation. Thanks again to Samuli for sharing his experience and thoughts with us. 3 things stood out for me. First, the need to focus on the big picture when talking to clients. We are most valuable when we help people solve their biggest commercial problems, and we can still bring energy and fun to the process. Second, some really interesting ideas about innovation by talking to customers, building MVPs, and testing hypotheses. This is a common approach in the tech industry, but not something we often use in recruitment. And third, the importance of creating wow moments to stand out in the mind of customers. We can create the best processes in the world, but sometimes we need to add something remarkable to make sure people remember us. If you found the show valuable, please leave a review and remember to subscribe or follow the show on your podcast app. You can also get more insights and inspiration by signing up to my added value emails on Substack. You can find the link in the show notes. Thank you to Atlas for sponsoring the Value of Recruitment podcast. To learn more about how Atlas is creating an AI platform that helps recruitment agencies generate more placements with less effort, visit recruitwithatlas.com.